Well, Mubina, the big event today is going to be what's going to happen at Reliance AGM, 2 p.m. Of course, all eyes will go towards the first virtual AGM of Reliance Industries. This is, of course, the 43rd AGM that they will be hosting. And time and again, they have gone ahead and done some of the other announcement when they meet their shareholders. Ajay is now joining us. So, Ajay, a lot of expectation going into the meeting. The street is keenly awaiting. From last time to this time, of course, the stock has done particularly well. What to watch out for in terms of their consumer business, whether you talk about Jio or their retail business?
Well, that's correct. It's a very important day for Reliance Industries shareholders in a long time because of the factors which are converging before this AGM, the 43rd AGM. Let's focus on the consumer businesses. Jio Platforms has conducted a spree of record deals, over 1 lakh crore collected, marquee investors as well as technology companies coming in. And the expectations are very high of understanding from Mukesh Ambani in his speech at the AGM. What's the road ahead, Jio Platform? What kind of growth and scale-up plans does Jio Platform have? And what kind of partnerships and synergies are they actually wanting to have with these guys who have come in now? On the other end of the consumer businesses, Reliance Retail. Would that be the area of value unlocking from here on? Street is already pegging it close to 3.5 lakh crore in valuations versus just over 5 lakh crore in valuations for Jio. So this is another big hefty business. How are the technologies at the back end merging as one big commerce play? Reliance Retail has been growing very well, but the omni-channel network which it aims to build across the country, JioMart, etc. People are very curious about things and how scale and capital allocation will be handled at these two consumer businesses. So people would listen to the speech very closely for cues. And of course, there's also a buzz of overseas listing of Jio Platform in the next 12 months. So all these are things people will be focusing on very closely in this speech.
Okay, well, Ajay, I just want to shift the focus to the oil business. Of course, all this while, it's all been about Jio. That's really been the star segment for Reliance. But for the oil business, the one, deal that you've been tracking right from the word go has been Aramco. What is the possible reason for this delayed deal with Aramco?
Well, that's correct. The traditional commodity kind of businesses have been facing a bit of a headwind in the last couple of quarters. Refining margins have been under intense pressure. What's the chairman of the company, Mukesh Ambani's view on refining margins? It is important from the company to get a color on that because it means for the entire region. Not only that, the petrochemical deal which was announced last AGM and has still not been fruitified with Aramco, where 20% stake sale was announced last AGM. What's holding it back? What's the outlook over there? Also on petrochemical business, demand has been a bit sluggish because of low growth in the country. How is the company going forward and navigating this environment? All these are the things which people would want to know regarding their traditional businesses and of course that multi-billion-dollar deal which has been hanging so far and no clear signs, though management has maintained that it's in the offing. So more color on that would be something shareholders would want to know from chairman of the company Mukesh Ambani at the 43rd AGM, which will be this time conducted virtually.
Well, earlier in the day, we also did speak to one of the analysts who tracks RIL for really a long time, Probal Sen of Centrum Broking. He's been tracking Reliance for really a long time. We asked him what the street is anticipating from the Reliance AGM. Let's listen in.
I'm not going to be presumptuous to, speculate on what I would like to hear. But I think the expectations are that obviously, if the Google, news has any credence to it, it will probably be confirmed. Given the size of the investment and the pedigree of the investor, it's not going to be sent out just as a press release as some of the smaller investments have been done. So obviously, I think the Google investment could be a large focus area in terms probably the biggest investment Google has done in India ever. So that's something that will definitely be announced by the chairman in the address today. What would be interesting is if the deal comes only as a equity investment, or also as has some other elements to it in terms of partnerships across the areas that Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, mentioned a couple of days ago when he was discussing the potential $10 billion investment in India. So whether this is just one investment or it also stretches across partnerships in AI and other areas that Google can really bring a lot of value to the table for Reliance Jio. So a massive thing if and when it happens. That's something that is there. But more important, I think with a lot of investments in Jio already been closed, a new benchmark been set in terms of at least valuation, as well as the way that investors have to look at Jio as a digital platform, rather than just as a telecom and a mobility business. I think those things have already been established. What could be interesting, I think, is I think Reliance could probably now talk about outlining the next phase of big value unlocking, which could be in retail. They have already launched JioMart. Our understanding is that the scale of the business is already comparable with some of the other e-com businesses like Big Bazaar and Grofers and so on. So what would be interesting is if the chairman can possibly outline the strategic direction that retail is going to take, or are there any other transactions that possibly could come through in that segment as well. Because Jio has, done one part of what it had already said and had promised us that, it would be positioned as a digital business. It would be, they would be looking for it to be valued and perceived as a digital platform. So to a certain extent, I think that's something that they've achieved magnificently in the last 2 to 3 months. But now I think the focus may shift to retail and JioMart and the integration of their technology, backbone with their e-commerce platform, and how it sort of ties into really expand the scale of the retail business much more than what they've already set up as an offline model. So I think these two areas are probably going to be focused, and plus investors could probably I think any update on what is happening to the Aramco deal, as well as the closure of the InvIT transactions which they had done in Jio. I think those two areas can also be potentially interesting if there's any update on that front.
Well, one thing's for certain, that if it is Google indeed that is going to be pumping in money in Jio, it's not going to be announced by RIL just by a simple press release. We could be expecting an announcement amidst much pomp and splendor, and what better than the 43rd AGM really to make this announcement. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things to watch out for, apart from the other pointers that Probal was mentioning. But you're out Sushil Choksey and Atul Suri as well on their expectations from RIL's AGM.
Reliance Industries and Mukesh Ambani's speech will evolve more towards a vision for next 5 years. What the business plans are post the infusion of money which has come on Jio platform. He's already indicated in next 5 years how the separate verticals, that is the retail, Jio and oil to chemical, would be listed separately. So what kind of a vision he has on each segment of businesses? Does the partnership fructify in oil to chemical with Saudi, as it was indicated it's in advanced stage? What are the enablers now for Jio and Jio-led business with this fiber to home customers, that is mobile customers? What kind of other product offerings and services which they would like to add, like Jio Chat and so many other things are being added? So from a global perspective, it's an India play and so-called Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is the vision of India, and maybe Reliance is going to succeed on all parameters where they are concerned, on all the divisions. It looks like the vision for listing for next 5 years is a clear roadmap, which will be a part of the story tomorrow, and how they expand on the telecom network.
Reliance is one such stock which, as I said, it's a sector in itself, so it cannot be ignored. And second is the weightage it has in the index. So in spite of owning the stock, yet you can underperform simply because the weightage that Reliance has in its portfolio or in the index or your benchmark is so high that very few people have that level of exposure to Reliance. So Reliance is a very enigmatic stock. I think the stock has almost doubled from the bottom, where your index may be up 30% or 40%, and this stock is almost doubled. So the fact is that maybe 1/3 of this rally is thanks to one stock. The question that is that whether you put your hat into or no is ultimately a question of where do you see Reliance 3 years from now. As I said, I do not know what's going to happen in the next 2-3 days or 5 days, but you have to take a call on what you think or where you think Reliance will be 3 years from now. And as I said, that we hold it in our portfolio, so can't comment on entry levels, but definitely a stock you can't ignore, especially when you have a benchmark and where it's the largest component of a benchmark.